Um, hey y'all, I'm just trying to get live on all channels. So I'm on Facebook, we're on TikTok, waiting on Instagram. Okay, we're live on Instagram, and we are now live on YouTube. Let me just make sure. It doesn't show me as live. Hey, C7 the God. What's up, Riri? Y'all come on in here. Come on in here. Come on in the room. All right, we're about to get started. I'm going to be here for a good time, not a long time. If you guys are on the East Coast, let me know. Let me know because it's earlier for you guys. It's a little late over here. Oh, you know what? I meant to do something. Mm, Jacksonville, Florida. What's up? What's up? I used to live in Jax. I don't have my soundboard. I wish I had the soundboard, but I'm on the computer and I don't have a soundboard. I should have had that locked and loaded because I want to give y'all sound effects today. All right. So today we're talking about land through tax sales and why you should be considering land through tax sales. I need y'all to light up the chat for me. Let me know where you are checking in from. If you are East Coast, West Coast, drop your city and state. Okay, so yeah. Drop your city and state. Let me know where you're checking in from. Today, we're going to be talking about land through tax sales and why you should seriously be considering investing in land through tax sales. Thank you, Nona. Washington, D.C. in the building. Okay, so first things first, who knows what tax sales are, first and foremost? Because I have realized that a lot of people don't really know what that is. So drop a one in the comments if you've ever heard someone talk about tax sales before, or if you yourself have invested in tax sales in a tax, like have gone through the process. Have you gotten property from a tax sale before? Let me know in the chat. Oh, and let me put the chat up because uh, okay. I hope I can see. Okay. All right. Cool. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see Instagram's chats, but I think if people chime in on Facebook or on YouTube, I should be able to see the chat. Yeah. So let me know if you guys have ever invested in tax defaulted properties before. If you are new here, I'm Antoinette. I'm a real estate investor, credit repair specialist, and business funding expert. I got a very specific skill set, and I'm here to share it with you guys today. Um, the thing that has like allowed me to live life on my terms. So yeah, y'all let me know. Let me know if you have heard of tax lien or tax deed investing. Are you familiar with it? Nona says I've heard it about it a while ago, but need a refresher. Okay. So basically, and y'all don't get mad at me in the chat. So when I break this down, y'all sometimes people come in here and y'all be like, oh, you stealing property from people. Well, first of all, I didn't invent this strategy. I'm just telling y'all about the strategy. Okay, that's first and foremost. But essentially, when a property becomes tax delinquent, a person doesn't pay their property taxes, then a property can then be sold through the government. And when it's sold through the government, a new investor or a new buyer can then come in and buy said property. Now, sometimes counties will sell these properties in the form of a tax deed where you get an actual deed. Other times they will sell the property and you will get like a tax lien certificate where there is a redemption period. Sometimes they will give you a redeemable deed, which is literally a deed with a redemption period tied to it. So, but essentially, all states have a process that is written into state law by which, if you don't pay your property taxes, they are allowed to sell your property. Okay. So, that's essentially the process. And It creates a unique opportunity for new real estate investors to get into real estate. Now, what do I mean by that? And this is what the topic of our conversation is today: land through tax sales. Okay, 70% of all tax defaulted properties is land. Now, let me turn this light real quick because I get, one second. My face sweats so bad. I'm just gonna have to excuse me for a moment. Okay, so 70%. Y'all gonna see me patting my face. I don't. We live. This is what it is. 70% of all tax defaulted properties is land. So a lot of times I get people in my DMs and in my comments like, you are buying people's houses and kicking them out of their houses, and you're the scum of the earth. And I'm like, but I'm not buying their houses. I'm buying the vacant land that is sitting next to the house. I'm buying the vacant lots, and then I'm selling those. So essentially, people, there's this misconception that you have to kick people out of their houses to buy tax defaulted properties. That's simply not the case. Okay. C7 the God says delinquent taxes from the city or state. Yes. Yes. So property taxes pay for things such as schools, police departments, fire departments, your local parks, roadways, different municipal services. Okay. So we're not gonna fuss in the comments today about whether or not you think your property taxes are fair or whether or not you think the institution of property taxes should exist. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about how you can take advantage of the system that is currently in place right now to get your first piece of real estate. If you have never invested in real estate before, you can invest, you can get started by investing in land. And why am I saying to invest in land? Because land is cheaper. That's it. It's cheaper, it's easier. You can do it virtually. Okay, you can buy real estate in your pajamas. It's what I have been doing full time for the last 5 years, and I'm here to chat with y'all about it. So please, please, please drop your questions in the comments. If you hear something that you're just like, oh, that was good, drop an emoji in the chat. Let me know. And of course, y'all know, like and tap the screen, because you know how these social media sites go. They're over here trying to block me on Instagram. I don't even know what's going on, but I have to keep verifying my identity. And then they still telling me like I can't send messages. So it's weird over there, but I am live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. So hopefully Instagram gets it together, because Meta, you're doing a lot. All right. But let's get back to the land. The question at hand: 70% of all tax defaulted properties is land. I'm going to say that again because I don't think you guys understand the sheer volume, the sheer opportunity that exists. Tax sales nationwide has over $36 billion worth of inventory, and over 70% of that inventory is land. Now, does that mean that every single stitch of land is going to be a good parcel of land? No. But what it does mean is that while everybody else is over here fighting for houses, you can just kind of come in and slip in and get you a parcel of land. Okay, get you some land, because number one, they're not making any more land. Land is cheaper, there's less competition, and you still make consistent 4 and 5 figure returns without having to deal with tenants, toilets, or termites. What's up, Phantom Futures Market on YouTube? Can you give me a case example on how you buy land and turn it around and become profitable? I'm glad you asked. All right, so I'll tell you about my first deal where I purchased a plot of land from the tax sale for $7,500, and then I ended up selling it 31 days later for $22,000. I bought it from the tax sale. What I did with it was, at that time I cleared the lot, so I paid like $500 to get the lot cleared and just to cut the underbrush. Thank you, Aisha, I appreciate it. See, I slapped on some makeup today because yesterday I was all natural. Yeah, so I bought a property and I cleared the lot and I just kind of cleaned it up so that I could see the lot better. It was 0.36 acres. It was in Zephyrhills. What's up, Biggie? I'm just gonna say Biggie. What's up, Biggie, on YouTube? So yeah, I ended up clearing the lot. I paid $500 to this guy who clearly underpriced himself. Like he clearly underpriced himself. I did tip him, but I was never able to get that old guy to do work for me again. You hear me? He was just like, no, I think I killed that old man, unfortunately. But yeah, then I put up a for sale sign. Okay. And then I started marketing the property on like Facebook Marketplace and different places. And then somebody in the neighborhood who lived down the street, he called me. He said, hey, I see your for sale sign. I live down the street with my uncle. I'm actually looking for some land to put my trailer on. And I said, okay. And then he said, hey, I don't have the full 22,000, but would you be willing to do seller financing? What's up, Chris? Hi, how are you? So he said, would you be willing to do seller financing? And I said, yeah. He said, I got $10,000 down. And I was like, yeah, I'll take that. So we meet up at the bank and I write up a contract, basically a land deed contract, right? And so I write up the contract. He meets me at the bank. This guy's dressed all in camo, right? So I see him at the bank teller and he's like, he's getting the rest of the cash. I already set up an appointment with my banker, and I knew that I was going to need to get like the deed notarized. So I brought like the title search and all the little different things. I was trying to be as professional as possible. So I came with my, my professional clothes, and I gave him a binder like we were at a real closing, right? Because we're closing outside of title. So I said, hey, and I sent him over the contract before he had to sign it. So I wanted him to know exactly what he was signing so he could read it ahead of time. And then when I met him in person, I said, hey, do you have any questions on the contract? He was like, no. And I said, okay, do you agree with everything? He was like, yep. And he signed away. And then he was like, here's the cash. And he tried to hand it to me in the hand. And I said, oh, just hand it to the banker. And the banker goes, oh, okay. So she takes the money and she puts it in the money counter and just goes, brrr. She was like, yep, $10,000. I'll go ahead and deposit this right now. And then she notarized the contract and the deed. And the guy was like, well, how do I pay you? And I said, okay, we can set up a Zelle. Mind you, I didn't have no systems or nothing. This is my first deal. Okay. This is my first deal. So I was like, yeah, you can Zelle me. Yes, this man Zelled me every month on time at the height of COVID when they were just like nobody had money. Okay. So I always say like, listen, listen, people were like, oh, nobody has money. That was not my experience. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I checked my bank account balance, $10,000 in cash. And this guy was paying me like $575 or $578, whatever it was, per month. Okay. So then I was just like, yeah, let's do that again. So Phantom Futures Market, that is a use case scenario, okay, a case scenario about how you can buy land and make it profitable. I bought the property for $7,500. I ended up selling it for $22,000 through seller financing, but I got a $10,000 deposit, which pretty much gave me all of my money back that I invested and created a stream of income at the height of COVID when I had just lost my job as a waitress. So I hope that is case evidence enough for you. But if that is not enough, I have another story of a mentee who went to Michigan, and I'm in Florida. Okay. So if you're like, hey, does the process work? Yes, it works if you work it and if you're in the right markets. Okay. So she ended up finding land at like almost like $100 a pop. Okay. Super cheap. Super cheap. They were pretty much just giving these things away. So she ended up buying like 23 parcels for a little over like $3,000. And she ended up selling one of the properties for $14,000. So she ended up walking away all in at $11,000 in profit. Okay. Biggie, I don't know what you're talking about. And hey, Chris from Hungary. And then Phantom Futures Market says, thanks so much for that breakdown. I really appreciate how you gave a full explanation of the case example that you went through. Yes. So I'm good at yapping. So yes, ask me questions, guys, because this is the time that I say, hey, when people are like, hey, can I pick your brain? When I'm on live, I'm in my flow state. You can chat with me. I'm gonna answer your question to the best of my ability. Okay. But anytime you want me off alive and you want me to answer questions, there will be a fee attached, most likely. I'm just being real, unless you're in my free community. And with that being said, shameless plug, okay? So I do offer 5 days of one-on-one coaching. I'm only taking 5 more people at with the 5 days one-on-one. This is a little experiment for me because I do offer mentorship and things like that, but it's usually in a group setting, in a small group setting. So if you want to get 5 days of one-on-one coaching with me, DM me. And if you are looking for the criteria that I look for when it comes to land through tax sales, because there's a lot of land and there's a lot of cheap land, but just because the land is cheap doesn't mean that the land is good. So if you want to know exactly what to look for when it comes to these plots of land so that you can create consistent 4 and 5 figure returns, then if you're on TikTok, you're going to DM me the word land. If you're on Instagram, you're going to comment the word land. If you are on YouTube or Facebook, comment the word land, and I will get you your free land checklist. Okay. I also have a free community. There are free courses in there, free training. So it's there. There are a lot of different ways where you can get educated. I also have a YouTube channel. So yeah, tons of different ways outside of paid. But of course, if you do want one-on-one coaching, I am taking 5 more people at that. 5 more people. I'm going to say second week in August is my last week doing this. No, my coaching is not free. My 5 days of coaching is not free. Okay. So if you want the one-on-one time, that is paid, but I do offer other free things. Like I do have the free community, and then I have the free land checklist. In the free community, there are free courses. I have a YouTube page that's free. So lots of different options for you. Okay. And then EML said, how did you come up with the 22,000 price? This is on TikTok. That's a great question. Market analysis. So again, a little bit about my backstory. D Lane, make sure that I see that you commented on YouTube. If it gives you the option to message me as well. I hope that it stays on. My light went off. I hope that it stays on and I can message you. And if for whatever reason, you can find me on Instagram or TikTok and then do the same thing. Okay, so to answer your question, EML, how did I come up with the 22,000? I was getting training. So my older brother, he's my mentor, and he taught me wholesaling. So during the time when I was like I heard about tax sales, I was actually learning wholesaling, and I was doing the cold calling and the skip tracing and all the things, right? But I went to a real estate meeting and I heard about tax sales. Now, I tried to get training on tax sales, but the person just didn't want to teach me. So I was like, all right, cool. I already have the knowledge of wholesaling and how to analyze deals. So once I understood how to analyze deals, I just basically ran comps for the land. So I understood that if a property had use, it had value, and I needed to understand how much the parcels of land would be worth. So essentially, I applied my wholesaling knowledge to tax sales, and that's how I was able to determine what the value of the land was. So if you have previous real estate knowledge, then it's kind of crazy that I talk to so many realtors, like literally who don't know how to comp things, and I'm like, what is your brokerage teaching you? But yeah, you can run your comps and find out like how much a property would be worth, and it's you're just comparing apples to apples, oranges to oranges. Okay, so make sure that if you're comping land, like you're looking for the lot sizes and things like that. But that's essentially how I was able to come up with the price of the land. You're welcome. EML. KKK moment. Are you trying to be funny on YouTube? Because, or I'm going to ask you, is English your first language? Because you keep putting sir at the end of your comments. So I'm trying to figure out what you're getting at. I'm real quick on the block finger. So, yeah, heavy on the blocking energy. Okay. So yeah. So essentially, that's how I was able to determine what the value of the land was. And again, this is when I tell you guys you should consider land through tax sales. This is for the everyday person. Even if you're a real estate investor or a realtor or you have experience, I spend a lot of time educating realtors and title companies on this particular strategy because they don't talk about tax sales for whatever reason. You can have your realtor's license and they still didn't teach you about tax sales. Okay, so I spend a lot of time educating people on the process of tax sales and what does it mean actually to acquire a property through a tax sale. So essentially, when you acquire a property through a tax sale, that's known as, or there's like a saying that it is the birth of new title, meaning it creates a break in the chain of title. And essentially, someone other than the owner sold the property, which title companies do not like. Okay, they don't like it. So it goes through a legal process where, because the property taxes were not paid, the county can sell the property. The county can sell the property. So when that property gets sold, you have a deed. Okay. Or if you're buying a tax lien certificate, you are not buying the ownership at that current point in time. But what you do have is a tax lien certificate where you are able to foreclose on the property if the property owner does not pay those back taxes. Okay. So it's two different things. I have a lot of time. I have a lot of people right now. I have a video going viral and everybody's like, it's a year, it's 2 years, it's 3 years, it's this year, it's this. No, you're going to, first of all, you're all right. It just depends on the state because every single state has a different process. Every single state has a different process. So EML said on TikTok says it's a year. It can be a year in some places. It can be 2 years. It can be up to 3 years in some places. In Florida, a tax deed, Florida sells both tax deeds and tax liens. Okay. And in Florida, once a tax deed is sold, there is no redemption period. There's no coming back to pay for their delinquent taxes because it's already been tax delinquent at least 2 years. Okay. So in Florida, it's a 2 year redemption period on their tax lien certificates. And then after 2 years, you have the right to foreclose. Now, do you have to foreclose? No, you don't have to foreclose. You're getting 18% or whatever. If you got it in the open bid, if you got it during the live bid, you can bid down your interest rate. But if you get it after the live bid, then you're automatically getting 18%. Okay. But but you don't necessarily have to foreclose on the property immediately. Florida has a very unique process. There are other states where, and this is one thing, like I'm like, go to the places that are investor friendly. For my folk in Ohio and New York, well, New York City, New York. Um, I might have to pause you guys. I'm on live. So yeah, there are some states that are not very investor friendly. All right. Yeah, sorry, you're breaking my concentration. Yeah, so there are some places that are not very investor friendly. And I'm gonna tell you, don't go to those places. There are a lot of states that are investor friendly and small time investor friendly. So I had someone comment and say, like, oh, I tried this, but there are so many big companies that are investing and they just take up all the inventory. And I'm like, that may be the case. That may, you may be in a competitive market. There are some places where I don't invest because I know what my bank account is. Like, I'm originally from Miami, Florida. I do not invest in Miami, Florida in their tax sales because I don't have drug money. Like, I don't have oil money. In Florida, you don't have to, like, in this process, you don't have to live in the state that you want to invest in. Now, especially if it's online, like there are some states that are in person still, and so you will have to be in person or have someone that can that is a representative on your behalf that can bid for you. But there are a lot of sales that happen online, and you don't have to live in the state that you want to invest in, which is another reason why I said you can do this virtually. You could do it 100% virtually. There are so many properties I have bought and have never seen. I bought a whole house in Indiana, rehabbed it and everything, never set foot in a house. Okay. I like to invest virtually because for me as a mom and as a wife, it's a lot going on. So it's a great strategy for if you are trying to add extra revenue, you got another skill in your tool belt, and you don't have to be at every single sale, right? But if you're in an active market, to be honest, you don't even have to go to other states. Like Florida keeps me very busy. Okay. No, TJ, I really did buy a house without looking at it. I paid $35,000 for it. Now, the long and the short story of that is it was really I really was wholesaling the deal. Like I wanted to wholesale it, but then I ended up having the buyer fall through and I ended up having to pay cash for it. So then I just did the flip myself. And I put the team together and I did it 100% virtually. And my TikTok followers helped me out. One of my students who took one of my 5-day challenges, she was like, "Hey, I live in Indiana and my husband's a contractor, and we'll be willing to help you with this property." So because she was a realtor, I was like, "Oh yeah, cool, have your husband go out and give me a bid." So they were like, "Yeah, we're trying to build our portfolio." I said, "All right, cool." So he went out, he gave me the bid, and I was just like, "Okay, cool, let's run it." And it was one of the best experiences I have ever had with a contractor. So yeah. I wish I can put him in my pocket and take him everywhere. I wish he could do all of my properties, all of my projects, because it was just like, even though it was difficult to run the rehab completely virtually, and mind you, I live in Florida. I don't know about basements. I had a basement. Matter of fact, I had a wet basement. And it was I was just like, "Oh my god, like this is so annoying." But um but yeah, I did the rehab completely virtual, and so yeah, I built a skill set. I have systems for that. So yeah, if you don't, you listen, you ain't gotta believe me. You can go to my TikTok page because I documented it, and it's the yellow house on my page, so you can take a look at it. And I did that rehab completely virtually, and I tell the story about how I did it because I ended up running into health issues too. So it was a whole thing. Life was just blowing up for me, but I was still able to complete the deal. I had a great team. So I do not recommend buying houses sight unseen. That's one thing that I will say. I do not recommend it. We had to touch every square inch of that house. Okay. And yes, there were things that came up. And yeah, like I was running that rehab budget tighter than, I don't know. I don't want to say anything inappropriate, but let's just say that I was just like nickel and diming it to make sure that we were able to stay on budget. And I put it on the market, and we ended up going under contract less than 30 days on the market. So I ended up selling it for 135,000. This was in Indiana. So listen, I always got receipts. Okay, I always have receipts. That's one thing. I'm gonna always come with the paperwork. You ain't gotta believe me, but it's already on my page. So yeah, I did buy a house sight unseen, but it's not something that I recommend because, especially not for newbie investors. Um, I felt like I had enough of a network and enough experience to take on a project like that. So yeah, and it was definitely a learning experience because again, I don't know about no basements, but I learned a lot. I feel like after that flip, like I'm a basement pro. I am a basement pro. I know how to fix it. I mean, I'm not gonna fix the basement, but I know when somebody's trying to BS me, I know how to fix wet basements now. Okay. So anyway, this is why I say to invest in land, especially if you're a newbie investor. You can skip all of that because you don't have to worry about tenants, toilets, termites, or wet basements. Okay. You ain't got to worry about no roofs. You don't have to worry about no old plumbing. You don't have to worry about foundation issues. You can just buy the land and sell it. Now, there some environmental things that you might have to worry about. Yes, because no investment is risk free, right? Yes. But in general, I feel like there is less risk with land than there is with houses. Okay. And again, you could do it virtually because if you go out to go look at land, what exactly are you looking for besides elevation? Besides elevation. And in Florida, go for tortoises. Besides, go in To be honest, if there's a lot of brush, you're not gonna see them to begin with anyway. You can check the map to see if it's breeding season and if they're in the area. My people from Florida, y'all know what I'm talking about. We have some protected species. So yeah, environmental issues. But yeah, again, land is much easier. If you go out to look at land, you're gonna see bushes. You're gonna see trees. That's it. So you don't necessarily have to do a drive-by on a plot of land because you're gonna see bushes anyway. It's not like you're gonna see to the back of the lot unless it's a clear lot. And then that would be cool, but then you can see that on Google, right? So yeah, you can invest in land virtually. You don't have to worry about tenants, toilets, or termites. And because land is considered like undeveloped, it's right, it's undeveloped. The assessed value for land at property appraiser sites is typically much lower. Guys, let me pause. Can I pause the? I don't know if I can pause the live. I don't know if I can pause the live, but I might have to get off early because I think I have company. Yeah, I might have to hop off and come back later. But I'm going to give one more plug. If you guys are interested in 5 days of coaching, go ahead and message me. If you are interested in learning how to invest in land virtually and you want my free land checklist, all you got to do is, if you're on TikTok, you're going to DM me the word land. If you're on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, you're going to comment the word land. And then I do have a free community, and you guys already know, find the link in the bio. We're not new here. If you're looking for a link, go to the profile and you will find the link. Okay, redlotuschick.com. If you're not already following me, be sure to follow me and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss when I go live. And thank you guys for joining me tonight. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to come back tonight, but I'll probably come back tomorrow around the same time. So I'll see you guys. Thank you for joining me. Bye.